Facebook inbox is the busiest, and I'll just look if people have sent multiple videos over and over, then I'll see that that's in high demand, and I should probably give it my attention. But sometimes the obscure stuff that people send in that no one else will send in can be just as potentially funny as well. So it's really a big thing of listening to the audience, which is probably what a lot of creators do, is listen to your audience and what they want. And so a lot of stuff is submitted now, and I just watch and see what I think can be the funniest.
Just further to that, like, it's amazing that you can take like just a regular video, but your commentary just puts it up a notch. Like, we really love the cows, the little turtles down there.
Oh yeah.
Like, without your commentary, like, it's, I don't know, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just kind of mildly interesting. But well, definitely that's a conscious decision to try and see what the potential is with the comedy and try to elevate it and just come up with narratives that are definitely not what the actors are thinking.
Yeah, man.
To have a friend in LA.
Just put kind of human thoughts and emotions onto them. Yeah.
What's expected?
Cheers.
It's Levon. It's L-E.
I'll send you the video as well so you can take a look.
You're Patrick, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We had a really hard time getting in. And then once we got in, they had to inspect the camera twice. We had to go through two different checkpoints. They had to look at the camera twice, make sure it was okay. We brought it into the park, and I left the goddamn memory card in the car. So we didn't want to bring the camera back in, so I, by myself, had to walk after the memory card, get in. When we started filming, I don't know how we didn't get kicked out. We had planned to get kicked out very early, and when we weren't, we got all the hard shots out of the way and then just took our time filming the rest of the day at the park. But I'd be surprised if Disney isn't aware of the video by now, and I'm curious what they think of it. It's still alive and well to make it money.
Do you watch your own videos?
Do I watch my own videos? Yeah, probably. By the time I finish them, I've watched them 20 times because I'm doing all the editing as well.
No, after editing.
After editing?
Yeah.
Probably still within a day or two when something's fresh, I might check back on it and panic about whether or not it was funny enough.
And do you laugh on your jokes?
Sometimes I do, yeah. But I'm writing something and editing at the same time. And that's good if you crack yourself up. It's like, and then you try to remember that first feeling. If it gets stale and I've recorded a voiceover 10 times, I've got to try and remember that first feeling where I did make myself laugh. And go, no, it's still funny because I laughed that first time.
And I think this is actually a really good question for Brandon as well. Do you watch your videos and do you laugh at your jokes?
I was just thinking as you were saying that, it's actually the exact same answer. Like, I'll watch it the first day or so, but by the time you're done editing it, like 20-something, 30, probably even more, you watch it, and you meticulously watch it. You get very tired of seeing yourself. But if you do watch it again the first few days, not necessarily to enjoy it, but just to sort of critique yourself and match your critique up with the comments and kind of see like, or are they really just jerking my chain, or was that funny? Did they really buy that? And then it's lost in the abyss. So whenever people try and quote my videos to me, I don't sometimes know what they're talking about. Right? Usually about a day per day of shooting. So it usually takes about 2 days to shoot a video, and so 2 days to edit. So I usually edit when I get home. I usually have an edit by that night, whatever we got that day, which is really nice because then it sends you into the second day of shooting, knowing exactly what to pick up, what you missed. Oh, that'd be funny if we had this kind of beat right here, this kind of joke here. You take a different alternate ending so you can shoot that. So 2 full days total for each video.
And I think this is also a good question to
Sure. Editing, for me it can be a bit quicker, because Brandon's shot a lot of material, but my stuff, I'm working with videos that people have already shot, so I can just gut them if they're a bit slow in their 10 minutes and turn them into 2 minutes. And it really, you get faster at it. Editing is a pretty mechanical thing. Once you get going, you'll get a lot faster and your instincts will get better too. It's mechanical, but it's creative, so you can really pick something. Like for Brandon, when he's shooting stuff, he'll be logging what he's going to edit, I'm sure. and yeah, the best moments and remembering that for the edit room. And when I watch a video that someone sent me, I'll look for a moment where I'm like, oh, I can make a good cut point with that and that. So it's part instinctive, creative, and quite mechanical. But you get pretty fast, and for me, it's a few hours, I guess, depending on the length of the video. Game of Thrones reviews, people follow those ones. They take 10, 15, 20 hours getting a 1 hour episode down to a frenetic 5 to 7 minute recap and review.
Out of curiosity, do you know your followers, are they a lot of U.S., Australians? Because, I mean, U.S. people love an Australian accent, so that's, I mean, that's why I'm kind of curious. But I'm just kind of curious to know what the biggest demographic is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty similar across Facebook and YouTube. I mean, Facebook is bigger for me these days, but it is America is the number one. You've got your massive population over here, but yeah, Americans really get into it and they're really enthusiastic, and that's great. So yeah, they sit at number one, and then UK at number 2, Australia number 3, and then fourth is probably Canada, and India usually sneaks into 5th or 6th. And Pakistan and New Zealand, Germany.
Kazakhstan?
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. Borat's from Borat.
Oh, yeah, you met.
That would be cool.
Great success.
Number 1, petroleum.
I think North Korea's last.
Yeah. It's pretty similar across YouTube and Facebook. The two I spend the most time on.
He's got a North Korean.
Relationship up. Yeah, it's actually very similar to what he's, U.S. and then the U.K., Australia, Canada, and then it's all the little ones in Europe. And I never keep track of those, but my fans. What was the question? Where my fans come?
Come from outside of the States, like, because the States is probably your largest chunk.
Yeah, the States really. Well, a lot of my videos are set. They're satire on American culture and American lifestyles. My videos. I try and make them as applicable, to the worldly. I try and keep them relatable for everyone around the world. But yeah, particularly Americans are who I target the most. That sounds bad.
Yeah, go ahead. How long did it take you to film the park video?
That was a day per character. So in the Day at the Park video, I played 12. It was, I think, 12 characters in the Day at the Park video. So it was about a day per each character. And then I had to get a double with me to play the other. Like if I had a scene with myself, you're constantly looking over someone else's shoulder. So I had to find someone who looked enough like me, with my height and build, and skin color and hair and everything. So yeah, it was tough, but. And it was in the middle of the winter, so it was raining, so we had to shoot in little gaps of the day that, there was no water.
I have another question. So were you like 2 and just like started narrating a football game? I mean, how did you know what I mean? Like, were you just in diapers and like, you know what I mean? Like,
When I was born, I just started commentating.
Yeah,
Probably.
Mom and dad arguing, so you start commentating.
I think I did. You're probably not far off, but yeah, let's not go too deep into the psychology. For me, it's a convergence of experiences that birthed Ozzy Man, from stand-up comedy and then kind of traditional filmmaking, and I did a master's degree in internet communications. I went to uni at age 27. It took me a while to go, but I got there. And then all those experiences just kind of, Ozzy Man reviews came out of that, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And it just started with Game of Thrones. So I was a fan of Game of Thrones, and there's not really anyone in Australia at that time kind of adding a voice on YouTube with that TV show. Lots of American reviewers and critics, and I thought, well, let's just bloody get an Australian voice going and analysing these characters, and then people were kind of surprised because it's crass and it's vulgar and there's lots of swearing, but then there is a pretty kind of in-depth review at the end. And then even with the quick commentaries on wildlife, it might still be crass and vulgar and overly Australian, but it's still something, kind of hopefully kind of clever or funny about it too. So Game of Thrones just ended and I was like, shit, I got to fill the channel up for another year, what do I do? So yeah, it was just people sending in other things, and yeah, it went from wildlife to sport to just anything that I think would be funny, really.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious if you're just around with all your mates and they're like, oh my god, you should do this for a living, you're hysterical. You know what I mean? Like, is it like?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. It can be deceptive, I guess, YouTubers or entertainers or anyone. They can actually be quite introverted. So it might be that I'm not competing for laughs around around a table or quiet drinks or anything. So I don't know. Maybe for me it was a bit of an outlet. It was a bit of a thing where you can just work on a voice and put it out there and do what you want and see if you connect with people. And then when it does, it's like, whoa, I'm actually connecting with people. That's really cool. Yeah.
Well, you are from Perth, mate. You know how we roll there.
Yeah, we're isolated and sad and lonely. That's so fucking far away.
Good one.
How do you challenge yourself to like try new things? Because a lot of your videos are kind of shot the same, but they're always different and special in their own ways. And besides the fact of basing these characters off of people you actually know, like where does that inspiration come from outside of that?
I don't know. I've always liked playing different characters. I've always liked playing characters who are so unlike the ones prior. I don't know. What was the first half of the question?
How do you challenge yourself to like try?
Oh yeah, just by going out of my comfort zone. Like I've always been very introverted. Like as he was saying, just because you're a YouTuber or an entertainer doesn't mean you go to a party and you're the life of the party. You're like I have a very small group of friends I'm very tight knit with, and when I do these characters, the reason they're so loud and ostentatious is because that's so far from my comfort zone. To be, every video I try and just take it even further and further and further. Like, this Power Rangers one of running naked through a grocery store, a Chinese grocery store, so it's even more, But so I got so comfortable playing these loud characters. I got so comfortable, and now, like I said, this character I'm playing now, I'm trying to go outside of my comfort range again by playing someone who's the opposite of that, someone who's very subdued and quiet. So, I don't know, it's just kind of targeting your fears and running toward them, which is really fun.
So, are you done with UFC?
No, it's gotten better, so yeah.
Oh yeah.
Backstory.
Yeah,
was,
please.
Yeah, because I'm dealing with copyrighted material, there's always a certain level of risk with how companies will respond. So UFC were not happy with jokes about damage. But it's gotten better. It's gotten better. So they kind of want me to do the commentaries again, but there are some. We got to have a bit of back and forth, and we got to agree on which ones I can and can't do, and maybe I'll do them, or maybe I won't. The good thing about being Aussie man is that it's quite broad. So if I don't get along with one company, there's so much other content out there. You can just try something else.
Did ever a fighter contacted you?
Fighters, not so much. I know some of them have watched it. Some of the New Zealand guys, I think Mark Hunt had maybe seen the one I did on him, and another guy who was in, I forgot the other league, Michael Benham Page.
Yeah.
He's in England. I know he had watched one of them as well. So some of the fighters watch it. I guess they probably do, they want to see what's out there,
yeah.
What people are saying about them. They're tough guys, but
yeah.
They can be a little fragile in the egos probably. Actually, story that I thought was going to turn horrific is I did the 9-second MMA knockout on Jason Solomon from Super Fight League. And my channel was a lot smaller that time, and you're probably a bit more uncensored and outspoken, and maybe I was a bit harsh on him. And then as the channel got bigger and I went to India and I met with some people, I just did a call out, and some fans from India came to the airport, a friend of Jason Solomon's showed up. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm Jason Solomon's friend. You did the 9-second knockout commentary on his fight. And I thought I was going to get killed, but it was fine. It was okay. It was like, Jason's watched it, he just owned it, he plays it at parties. So, yeah, it's a funny thing is you do commentary on real people, and as you get bigger, you do have to think about what kind of impact it could have on them as well, because you don't want to grill them too harshly. You want to try and keep it playful. And, yeah.
Good.
Please do a McGregor Mayweather commentary.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what. I reckon they're going to protect the crap out of that copyright, but I'll see. I got to do
Yes,
something.
like stick figure animation.
Oh yeah, I did it with Lego Men once, didn't I? Things got really bad with UFC. It was like, oh, I'll shoot my own footage with Lego Men. Conor McGregor. Yeah, that was not bad.
Claymation.
Hopefully that would be good.
There's another question.
Math question. What was your subscriber growth like? Was it pretty slow and steady, or was there one video where it just exploded?
I've been doing it for 12 years, and it got the highest. It was at 50,000, around 50,000. The first 8 years it got to that point, and then it just leveled at 50 up until last year. And so, I was kind of just at this weird plateau of no one, just a very slim crowd watching me. And then people started taking clips of my characters and putting them on Vine. And I became a overnight sensation on Vine, but no one knew who I was, A, that I was an actor. They thought these characters were real people. And B, they didn't realize it was the same guy playing all these different characters, which is the only reason I haven't gotten dental work done, because it's the only thing to prove that I'm an assumed actor, doing all these roles. And so, it was really aggravating feeling like, sort of feeling like Clark Kent, just like no one really, everyone loves your alter egos, but no one, knows who you are. And then finally the Fine brothers found that. They kind of caught wind of who I was, and they were like, this guy people need to see, people need to see this channel. So they did a video entirely about me onto their 14 million followers, and just, that morning I woke up to a bunch of people texting me saying like, go look at your, Social Blade page. Checked in, it was like 27,000 overnight, and I was like, oh, I'm the next day. So yeah, that was about a year and a half ago, and then it's been going to where it is now since.
Was that the point where you got invited to be a featured creator? Like, you weren't invited before that, right?
I wasn't really invited anywhere. I was invited to a birthday party. No, this is my second VidCon I've ever been to. So yeah, this last year I spent going to all of my first conventions and everything. Playlists, Summer in the City, and it's been an insane experience. Up until then, I've just been shooting independent commercials for small businesses and working at a law firm to pay the bills. And so it's weird going from a cubicle to, this. So, yeah, it took about a year to get here. Yeah.
And I think it'll be interesting to hear how it happens for you.
Growth?
Yeah,
there usually is a moment where you get a bigger spike, and then it might plateau and you get spikes again, and it's all pretty up and down. And you try to be as consistent as possible, but I do liken it to live performing as well. If you're doing a live stand-up gig or something and you're doing 3 a week or 4 or 5, they're not all going to be gold, but hopefully the level is still quite high that you keep reaching new people and pleasing your current fans as well. So there was there was definitely a big spike when I did the Mexican weather commentary on Inet Garcia. That was massive across Facebook and YouTube. That was a huge one, and that was filling in time between Game of Thrones. I thought I was just going to do TV shows and movies, and that would have been quite niche, and maybe there would have been good growth doing that. But I'll broaden it out and do whatever I think is funny. And then that just reaches so many people that you have lots of segments of the audience as well. People who like the wildlife, people who like the TV stuff, and and you have ones that are funnier than other ones, and you get a big spike again. So I think numbers and the maths and the mechanics are one thing, but you do have to just go with how you feel. It's like sometimes you're a bit more burnt out than other times, and then you're fresh again, and just keep kind of doing what you want as well. It's like, right, I'll take it in this direction and then this direction. And that keeps people guessing too, and that's not a bad thing. So yeah, the growth, you have big spikes and overall it's steady, and yeah, hopefully it doesn't crash unless you really screw up.
Yeah, do you guys get hate mail often? And then what do you guys do? And what's the most memorable one?
It's funny, people are really scared of hate mail. I guess it's because you're putting yourself out there, and yeah, I guess, yeah, a little bit, but not so much. It surprises me how much positivity and enthusiasm you get as well, to the point where anything negative, it doesn't bother me personally. And I guess I've had a lot of background in stand-up comedy and live performing as well, but you do have a bit of tough skin. I was doing stand-up comedy when I was 16, 17, in the pubs down under. So it doesn't bother me. Yeah, the odd one comes in, and there's someone who's like, go kill yourself, and it's like, no. So it's fine. It's constantly amazes me how enthusiastic people are, and that's really good, and that keeps me motivated as well. Yeah, maybe that's the same for you as well.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I really. Sorry. What was the question?
Oh, just if you
to
get it off and
I was just thinking
memorable.
how nice everyone is, and I forgot the question was about the hate.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone is so nice these days. I don't know if these days for people, there's just this technology is bringing out just the good in people as well as the bad. But I've never received any substantial hate mail, and the hate mail I have received are not from viewers. It's from property owners, the places I've shot. And I'm not allowed to say which video this was, but there is a video where I played a school administrator of some kind at a school, and which we did get permission to shoot at, and here we are a year later, the school happened to have, a demo of, 13, 14, 15-year-old kids going, so of course they're gonna see, oh, that was my school, that was it. So yeah, the fact that to this day I get emails from them like demanding it gone. I'm just like, well, we'll see where it goes. So as long as it's still up, we're in good hands. But no, that's the only hate mail I get. Yeah.
It would be hard if you get an overwhelming amount. I'm not sure what you do. Yeah, you cry and give up. But I don't know.
Well, do you feel like they sort of blow their steam off on like YouTube comments? Because some YouTube comments, like just on any videos, they look like they just go down this weird rabbit hole.
Yeah, some of them would be. I think it really depends how you connect with your audience or something. Or maybe if it's from the outset, having a dysfunctional relationship with them, then I don't know. Or you just really got to screw up. I mean, we see it happen all the time. Someone will just take a wrong step. And I guess as you get a bigger following and more people, that does become a bit of a stress.
The magnifying glass.
Yeah, and you don't want to, go a step in the wrong direction because you can burn trust and all kinds of things. And we see that happen a bit, and that's pretty scary. But yeah, as far as hate mail from the outset, just haven't had much, and that's good. And I want to keep it that way.
It's a common myth of being a celebrity is that we get hate mail. Like, I don't know. I think someone's going to take the time to write to you. If they hate you, I mean, they have to really hate you to like take the time to write to you. If someone likes you, they'll take the time to write to you. But I'm thinking.
We have a question up there.
Ask for Osman. It's more of a series of questions. I know it's been asked earlier, but so when you're shooting a video, commentary on a video about animals, do you do some research on the animals? How do you get inspired to do commentary on the animals? Do you get inspired by Crocodile Man, or I mean, how do you go about going to shoot doing the commentary on those videos?
Yeah, well, Steve Earle is obviously an inspiration in the Aussie Man. Persona. So, yeah, but I'll research animals a little bit, especially if they're really obscure and you don't know much about them. I think there was the recent one with the freaking red panda going around. I didn't know red panda existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do have to quickly check, and make sure it sounds like you know what you're talking about still. I mean, I've always liked animals. I was a kid who grew up with lots of different animals, and And yeah, I was not a bad zookeeper. Sometimes I accidentally kill a hermit crab and it was horrific. But always grew up with lots of animals too, and the wildlife videos I do just really enjoy, because you can get so much comedy out of them as well. Because you can just project so many different thoughts and narratives onto what the hell's going on. It's probably the furthest from what the facts are, which I think people know they should watch David Attenborough for the facts. Definitely not Ozzy Man. So yeah, I'll look up a little bit, but there's no extensive research, because part of the humour is taking the piss, and if something's completely false, then it's fine, and people know it's false, and strangers instantly know that. They're like, he is absolutely bullshitting about that fact. That's not real at all. And then people figure it out in the comments. Yeah. So I don't get too bogged down by it. I'll just go for what's funny, even if that's really absurd.
And Brandon, when you're writing your characters, do you actually research psychology ever?
Yeah, I'll research how they talk. I'll watch videos of people who talk like that. I'll watch them a long time, and then when I'm in the car, when I'm driving, I'll just be doing that voice behind the wheel, like a crazy person. And I just spend as many hours as I can talking, just trying to emulate that voice. Right now I'm playing like a street thug character, which is a very hard dialect, because I have, the whitest dialect there is. But yeah, I don't know, you want to get into their headspace as much as possible, especially if you're trying, because when I play a character, I'm not trying to play them hilariously, I'm trying to play them as that character straight, who happens to wind up in funny situations. But yeah, no, I try and understand them as best I can, for as two-dimensional they are.
And there's a question.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
So out of all the Aussie Man reviews that you've done, what was the most challenging? And the second question after that is, when did you get your first big break?
Most challenging, I guess there's a couple of layers to that. Most challenging, I think creatively, because it really depends what I choose to do commentary on. I got to see the potential in it straight away in its raw format and its raw video. So generally, once I've decided on something, that's the challenging part. It might be that I've spent half a day watching what people submit, looking around on Reddit, looking around on other places, and just watching stuff, and I'm going, none of this works, I can't work with any of this. So that's the most challenging, that's an everyday challenge. Once I've decided on something and picked what I'm doing with it, it's not as challenging. But then there's the behind-the-scenes challenges with some troubles I had with the UFC content and stuff like that. And you don't know how big companies are going to respond when you're using copyrighted material. So the behind-the-scenes challenges there, I've had some big ones with companies as well. Cricket Australia was a challenge, unfortunately, because I'd like to do more cricket stuff. So yeah, I have a lot of behind-the-scenes challenges with copyright, and I just got to figure them out as they come up, because generally I'll just go for it and see how companies respond. So that's the biggest challenge behind the scenes. Comedically, once I've picked something and I've committed to going with it, it generally flows pretty fast. And with the big break, there's no real big break, and I'm kind of glad about that. There's spikes where some have been bigger than others, like Ninette Garcia was huge, and then a wildlife one like the Planet Earth 2 iguanas and the snakes was huge. Filipino men's diving was huge. Yeah, that was massive. Olympic stuff with Rio was massive. So there's not one big break, and I'm really happy about that, because that always seems really tricky if there's one massive video for someone and then it's just looming over everything else you do. I would be like, no, that's so annoying. So yeah, there's just lots of little breaks, and some are bigger than others.
So what advice would you have for an aspiring filmmaker, content creator in general?
And that's for both of you.
That was my question too.
Good question. I would heavily recommend not making what you think everyone's going to like. I came from a small town of a lot of independent filmmakers, and we would have film festivals where everyone would stroke each other's egos, and they would make these like movies based off of the critically acclaimed films they love going and seeing, and trying to emulate that. And it's like, I feel like a lot of filmmakers are trying to make what they think is going to be big, rather than just making something. If you had to watch what you're about to make, that be the only film you watch for the rest of your life, are you gonna like it? Like, make something you like, you know. When I make my videos, I know I don't have the best videos in the world, but I like them. And like when I'm making them, they're fun, right? Just like I'm sure, like it's not what we make is not, you know, it's what we're interested in. It's our form of humor that we're, you know, pumping out, and we got lucky enough that enough people agreed it's funny, and so it's I don't know. I think if you have a story to tell and you're passionate about it, and make that story, don't make what other people want to, you know, see.
Yeah, similar thing. Like you've got to be happy with what you're doing and what you want to get out of it, and what you want to say, and have fun doing it too. So there's a lot of talk at these events, always data and analytics and algorithms, and they're all handy, and you've got to look at what works once you get going. But it really is just kind of doing what you want to do first, and if it connects with people, then you go from there. And that's the best you can do before any kind of marketing data or analytics come through. And then it's just a case of, I mean, I had a lot of failed projects before Ozzy Man Reviews really caught on. So there was a lot of kind of, short film projects and things, and going for short film funding in Australia, it's government funding. You do an application that takes a year, you go through a panel, you get rejected. So you've got to kind of not spend too much time on something if you feel bogged down about it and it's not really working. You do have to be honest about that, and you have to go, it's not really connecting with people, plus I'm probably not enjoying it that much. So scrap that one, and hopefully another idea comes along that you can try as well. It took me, before Ozzy Man Reviews caught on, it was 10 years of kind of indie filmmaking, trying to get into short film festivals, and maybe I should have cut off that time a bit quicker. I'd spend an extra year on a project where I probably shouldn't have, and it's really hard to do. It's hard to do. You're not going to get blunt, honest feedback really from the people around you. They're going to go, well, no, that was a great short film, I loved it. But you've got to be pretty introspective and a bit self-critical, and I think sometimes the sooner you can do that, the better. So don't give up, but do give up sometimes.
So, what are your plans for the future, and do you plan to quit?
At this stage, I'm not quitting, not at all. I want to see how long this can go. I'm curious. Another big fear, especially with online entertainers, is will it go stale? And you hear people blame the algorithms and everything on that. And I don't know. I'm just going to keep going. I'm pretty happy with how it's going, and I'm lucky with the concept. Ozzy Man Reviews. It's so broad. I can explore lots of directions, and that's exciting. And that for me makes me feel like that original concept can go for quite a while. And I'm happy doing it at the moment, and I want to keep going. And I might venture out and do different things and live shows and whatnot. So at this stage I want to keep doing what I'm doing, because hopefully the audience is still laughing, and new people are still laughing, and or laughing for the first time, and just keep it going. That's really it. It's hard to come up with a concrete plan or timeline, because every week is pretty different as well. Different things come up, and different gigs come up, and people want to take you towards TV, and then you're like, nah, I might stay in this track, and so I don't know. You play it week by week, but I'm happy with it. So no quitting, don't panic, don't panic.
Well, I'm going to continue self-producing. I love making my own stuff. I'm doing a show right now called Magic Funhouse. We just finished shooting our second season, so I don't know. I have no plans on quitting, for better or worse. I don't know. Going forward, I definitely would love to, see, get a movie deal. That would be really fun. To do, different types of shows that take place in different settings. But I think you and I are really lucky because our channels aren't really blanketed by one solid idea. Ozzy Man Reviews and different character sketches, they can, turn on a dime, become any sort of version of themselves they want to be.
It really is putting that thought in from the outset about the concept. Like I had another concept which we did. It was called Super Dingo. It was about an outback bionic dingo who was a superhero in a furry costume. That was so hard to produce. We had big visual effects and everything, and it was like, oh shit, I can only produce like 3 of these a year. That doesn't keep anyone engaged. So it was cool, but as a core concept for distributing, you know, you got to play the game and you got to have regular content. You got to find that balance. It's like you need a concept that can be manageable and sustainable and work with the social networks and work with you creatively. So if you put that thought in from the beginning and go, all right, I think this can be sustainable for a long time. I think I'll like it for a long time. And I think no matter how the social networks change their algorithms and their mechanics, it might affect me here and there, but it might not as well. So yeah, I think the concept from the outset is key.
Yes. I have a question about your videos, or not your videos, but when choosing to make videos, is there certain subjects and types of both that you guys try to keep away from? Like I know in the States, a lot of things and around the world, a lot of things been going on with this year, the elections and social instability between confidence and stuff like that. Do you guys stay away from certain subjects, or you try to engage those subjects? And I'm going to make a reference about Kate Williams, a comedian, stand-up comedian. And he says he likes to engage those kind of areas where there's instability, so that he can bring a little bit of humor to that area where it's most unstable in society. I don't know if you guys purposely try to engage those certain areas, or you just try to avoid them. That's my question.
Yeah, no, gotcha. That's good. That's a question of substance. For me recently, it is a thing of, the audience gets so big and broad, you do lose a bit of conviction. Maybe when I first started out and I tried some video blogs and I was going to take Ozzy Man in a bit more of a news video blog kind of direction, and it's good to have conviction with your opinions too, because a lot of people seem to go, all right, I'm going to stay neutral and end up somewhere vague, like indifference is a cool thing. And it's like, yeah, right. So I like to do it. Things I still like to have conviction, but I like to choose my battles. And it's like, I'm not gonna make something that's too much of a polemic or too heated with an opinion, because the primary goal is to make people laugh. And if I stray too far from that, and I'm going too opinionated with something, I kind of lose sight of what I find to be fun. But I will still have little satirical digs at things in videos where something mundane might be happening. There might be a political dig in there about Trump in America, or sometimes it might be a little more in your face, but still kind of keep it comical and not have it take up the whole video. So not specifically, I'm not committing specifically to big heated issues in videos, but always through an animal's thoughts or something, there'll be a line about the current state of the world. I mean, I think, on Aussie Man we call it the nah F you, nah F you, nah F you zebra, where it's like everyone's going nah F you, nah F you, nah F you, nah F you, and no one's listening to each other. They're just yelling to each other. So I kind of allude to it with things like that, and even in Snakes and Iguana, it's like, oh, the freaking iguana's being caught, there's shorter seasons of Game of Thrones, war in the Middle East all the time. It's like, you can kind of make a little joke in there without getting too aggressive or have it take up entirely what you do. I think you've got to earn it as a comedian as well, you know, like American comedians like George Carlin, when they were old and you feel like they've earned it. You see young comedians come out and just go straight into like such heated issues. And they've still got so much to learn as well about the comedy and probably about the issues. I mean, you are passionate and you care about stuff when you're young and you have heated opinions, but you kind of still, I'm 31 now, so you do kind of think about things on a few different levels, and then maybe to get back to doing comedy where you really tackle something sensitive, you've got to have a bit more maturity in it. That's why I like comedians like George Carlin or something. So he can do the grumpy old man, because he is a grumpy old man, and like just give it to you. I hope that someone answers. A big tin of worms. Good question.
Yes, a big tin kind of worms. I'm very similar to what he said. I think that if there's one thing to counteract, an offensive opinion, it is how clever the joke is delivered. I don't necessarily look at it as, oh, should I touch this subject? Should I stay away from the subject? I just more keep my blinders on, fixed on what's funny or not. If something's funny, I'll do it, and if I think it's going to spark up a heated reaction, then I try and think, is it worth the joke? And if it's worth the joke, then yeah, let's take the risk. But I don't know. I think that even if you pick a certain idea or philosophy you believe in, or a moral that's close to you, and someone would make fun of it, but at least it would really then you can at least admire that. So I think it's a fine line as a comedian to walk between what's funny and what's not funny, and is it worth the topic that's being tackled. Luckily, I'm not turned on too much by very, very strong political topics. They don't really drive me to make a video with a message. I just kind of don't laugh at a video once I understand that I'm being taught a message. When I go to a funny movie, I'm not going there to learn about XYZ, about whatever kind of issue is the writer's trying to portray. So I don't try to emulate that.
It's nice if it sneaks up on you, like any good theme in a film or something. Yeah. It sneaks up on you and it's not overt and in your face. And I mean, people ask a lot. Lots of people have said, "Ozzy, man, you got to do commentary on Trump and what's happening in America and everything." And I'm just generally always cautious when someone wants to utilise my voice. It's like you get a bit protective of it. It's like I'm happy with requests, and of course I encourage them and I want them, but when someone really messages with a strong thing like you've got to use your audience for this, I'm just like, well, back off, I don't have to. No matter what side it is, if it was pro-Trump or anti-Trump, it's kind of like, all right, well, maybe, and I might agree with you on what you're saying as well, but yeah, if someone's too aggressive about how you should use your voice in your audience, then it can be a bit of a turn-off.
The election was very uncomfortable. I don't know about you, but it was... Because when you're a voice of influence, things like the election or major world problems become different to you than before you were famous. People start looking at you as a beacon. Well, you have an audience. This is an important thing. Get this out there. It's like, well, half my audience are this crowd, half my audience are this crowd. It's like you're on that half. It's you're not. And it puts you in a position of alienating other people. You're never going to win everyone over. You're never going to, especially if you're a comedian, you're trying to take risks and be new. You're going to win the whole crowd. But the crowd you do win over, hopefully you get them in time.
So we're only going to be taking a couple more questions so that you guys still have time for some last pictures and last chats. So someone on that side now, please go ahead.
What is the inspiration of using words like Sheila and Shirley?
Yeah, well, that is just kind of old school Australian slang. It's always done well. Things like Crocodile Dundee and Steve Irwin, and it is this very kind of Aussie culture and getting the slang words out there. It's just I'm doing it in a different platform, in a different medium now. We've always done it in film and TV, and so they're just slang words that have been around for a long time, I guess. And I like chucking them in there, and they're not derogatory or, some people might think, what the hell does that mean? That sounds offensive. But no, not really. They're just blunt, I guess, Australian slang. It's just very blunt.
Ethan, I just want to add to that. I was talking to these Australian gentlemen. Help me understand fair dinkum.
Oh, yeah. We talked about fair dinkum.
Fair dinkum.
And it's just honest. You're being fair dinkum with someone.
Honest.
You can replace it with honest.
Okay.
It's the quickest, easiest way to process it.
Thank you.
So I fair dinkum, fair dinkum recommend VidCon. I honestly recommend it. It's good. It's fair dinkum. It's fair dinkum.
Fair dinkum.
Honest.
True, boy.
True. Yeah, totally.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What's your craziest, I feel like I'm with you, what's your craziest or weirdest fan confrontation or
And I would like to hear you both answer this.
I think I'm fine. I'm weirder than the fans.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you were here last year at VidCon. I spoke in front of a group of people, and I was on a stage that was made of a very hard, kind of a acrylic plastic. And one fan came up at a time and for me to take a picture and said, they just kind of keep my loop. And this one girl came up to me, and there's a ton of people, like everyone's watching. And she goes to, take her picture. I couldn't tell if because some people like to have me take the picture and some people like to do it themselves. And she was holding it weird. Like I couldn't tell what she was trying to do with the phone. It's like, oh, maybe she's handing it to me. So I go and I right onto the floor. And it went face, she didn't have a case, and it went face down. The entire screen was gone, the phone was done. And, and
wow.
everyone's looking, and I look at her, and me and this little girl, like on stage, the only thing we have in common is neither one of us know what to do in that moment. And so we're just staring at each other, oh my God, what do I do? And she looks up at me, and I'm like, I look at her, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And she looks up at me, and goes, I'm not getting off this stage until you figure out what you can do. My mom will kill me. I can't get. And I'm looking at the people on stage, and I'm like, help me with this. Security. Luckily, BBTV was really cool. They covered, they paid them back for the phone, but it was just so uncomfortable. I had no idea where to go with that. It was my first VidCon, my first day at my first VidCon ever. And I'm in front of a crowd, and I break her phone, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. At least you're not old enough to know the full capacity of what you can do with that phone. It's not that important to you, hopefully, yet. But if I dropped my phone, I'd be running off that stage to the nearest Verizon store. But anyways, what about you?
Yeah, well, I'm quite the hermit, and I'm very far away, and a lot of my videos I don't show my face. It's yeah, the commentary videos, so I can go pretty stealth. But I mean that was awkward, the MMA one, I guess, where I'd taken the piss out of an MMA fighter in India, and then his friend showed up at the airport. Yeah, that could have gone horribly wrong. Thankfully, that was okay. No, I've had nothing too weird or bizarre or intense. I mean, there might be interactions outside of face-to-face or in real life in the inbox. I mean, people will want to share kind of intense personal details about their life from time to time, but I try not to freak out about that, because ultimately they're grateful that you've brought a smile to their face or made them laugh. So, yeah, you get some oversharers who are like, yeah, my whole family died, and yeah, I got a divorce, and like, whoa. But you know, I try not to freak out and go, get away from me, if it's online or wherever. So, yeah, no, nothing that's really affected me or caught me off guard.